Hey guys, what's going on? It is DigiWatch TCG coming to you with another video, and today we're going to talk about the banned and restricted card announcement from August 23rd, 2024. I actually had made a live reaction video that I set the wrong time to go out on YouTube, so unfortunately I decided to scrap the idea of realizing it was going to come out like a day after all the stuff was announced and everyone kind of knew stuff was going to happen, or cards that were hit and stuff. So we're just going to go over a couple of the cards, talk about the decks that were hit by it and what our thoughts are, and as well as like some of the cards that didn't come off the list. Some alternatives you can try to go into with some of the decks that I've played and I've tested. So with that said, let's go into it. Before we go any further though, I do want to talk about the effective date of August 31st. So that's when this list actually takes into effect, and that is actually the day of an offline regional in Niagara Falls. And I thought that was just a very weird day to put it on. Don't get me wrong, I don't want to see Numemon on the top podium, but I do think that giving players like a week's worth of short notice is a little bit, I don't know, I don't feel super comfortable with that, and wish they kind of said, you know what, like this will, going after that, going into the next format in September, yeah, that's when we're going to hit, you're going to see the hits actually take effect. But we'll see what happens. Well, it's going to be definitely an interesting tournament. I can't wait to actually, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I have other things going on that day, but I have a few friends that are going up and playing in the tournament, so can't wait to see what happens with it. So first card here is Ukkomon. We think everyone wanted this card hit in one way or another. Even the players who abused it was like, yeah, this deck is just too fast. You know, having Ukkomon hatching an egg, getting memory or drawing cards, just super helpful. But it just makes fast decks faster, in my opinion. And I feel like this actually might be the most sensible, but not the best hit for the Ukkomon. I feel like the BT16 one might have been the better one, because you're trying to hit consistency with these cards, not necessarily, you know, I felt like giving all decks the possibility of gaining one memory was fine. I mean, that's what Hammerspark does. It did. But looking at the top three cards of your deck and saying, hey, I can take any of these cards, Tamer, a Tamer or a Digimon, doesn't matter, just add in my hand, plus I get to hatch an egg, get ready for my next turn. I feel like that is just much more powerful than just, okay, I hatched egg, gain a memory, cool, like maybe you have 2 memory, maybe I put you to 1 and you went to 2 on this. But the decks that hit were like Numemon, maybe the Ancient Guru, Ancient Greymon decks, Numemon obviously, Gabubon may have been hit by this a little bit, but honestly, I don't really feel like, I don't feel the effects yet. Well, we'll see. I guess that's where we'll be at with that. There's really no replacements for this Ukkomon. I guess you can, like, technically in Numemon decks you could run the Agumon or Gabumon that gives you a memory from the starter decks, or you could run like more floodgates. You could do that really with any of the other decks with their respective colors. But yeah, that's kind of it. I mean, this one also, when I say most sensible, BT16, is still like more out there versus like getting these as promos, other than TCG Player and eBay. That would be the place you want to get these, but they only came out as a New York Comic Con exclusive in the decks, or pre-release winner card, or a card out of luck that you pulled from the the movie pack for Digimon the Beginning. So yeah, I mean, I just feel like the other one is just more accessible, and that's why they hit this one. It's like, yeah, everyone probably has 4 copies of the Ukkomon from BT16. So Louis, I'm not going to spend too much time on. They talked about this with kind of the Gabumon loop. I'll just briefly explain what the loop is, but basically you go Gabumon, play out Matashita. Maybe you get a few of them on the board at a time. Matashita from BT6 is when your Gabumon is raised from breeding, you gain a memory, draw a card. So if you have 3 of them, and it's not, by the way, sorry, it's not a once per turn. So you could push out the Gabumon, gain 3 memory, and then draw 3 cards. And Louis is basically just facilitating more, because if you do that with Analog Youth, Analog Youth, you can, when something's deleted, level 5 or higher, you can tap it, hatch an egg. And usually with this Gabumon loop deck, you're digivolving into the Promo Lobomon, which goes into Ancient Garurumon, which gets deleted at the end of the turn. So you do that, gets deleted, tap the Analog Youth, keep turn, digivolve and raising into another Gabumon, play a Louis, and then push out, gain 3 or 4 memory just from that. And you could potentially hit another card off of their security just by doing all of that stuff. So I can understand the loop from here, but that's the only deck I really saw this being a problem with. I always felt like this was like a hybrid for game. It was like, okay, if you have it, then you have it. So yeah, I'm not going to go much more on that. Hammersmark's interesting to me because you know, I would have loved to see this more to one a while back than now, but I understand their logic for it. It's kind of like there's so many decks that draw so many cards now that with blue, if you draw 3 or 4 copies of this in your hand and you just play like, okay, I'll play 3 or 4, you know, you can continue your turn, you can set up more plays, you could set up for an OTK on the next turn, or even just go from like a rookie right into like a mega eventually when you do that. But blue's the only color that can do that, so maybe they're just trying to say like, we're gonna even out the playing field. Blue has a lot of good cards now. If they draw into 3 or 4 copies of Hammerspark, you know, it's, you know, they just get a little bit more advantage. But yeah, I can't really say what exactly this is. You know, if it's a good hit, if it's gonna make that much of an impact. Mirage maybe, Magna X maybe. I don't use it in Imperial, so I don't think it's there. But yeah, maybe Ancient Garurumon. I know that Ancient Garurumon, a few lists run 2 to 3 copies of Hammerspark, so maybe it'll hit a little bit more of the consistency on that end. So yeah, this one I want to bring up a picture real quick and show you this card here. Return of the Primo Generator, which is a card from BT17, which we're going to talk about in a second. But this card is interesting in terms of the hit. There are 3 decks that I see this mainly being used in. One you may not even think about using it in, but I do as a tech. So you use it in Blue Magnamon, Yellow Vaccine, and for me, I've attempted to use it in Imperial Dramon with a Magna X top end, because you could run a bunch of armors on the bottom end and then just warp right into it using this card, which is pretty easy to do. So this card here being hit definitely hurts a lot of decks. However, there are substitutions from it. This one specifically is, I think, a much better version of that card, and you can actually go into multiple things, but really what I like about this is with the blue Magnamon deck, you just need to play a green Tamer or a blue-green Tamer, and Davis Ken seems like a good one to me. And then this allows you to digivolve into a level 5 or 6 higher Digimon with free trait in its hand, with a reduced Digivolution cost of 4. So if you don't know, you can warp Digivolve from a Magnamon level 4 into Magnamon X from BT16 for basically a cost of 1. Then you set this as a delay effect, and if by chance somehow the Magnamon X is deleted, you can prevent that deletion, go into Imperial Dramon Paladin mode, Ace, or any of your Imperial Dramon cards if you choose to run them in that deck. So you can run this in multiple decks, which I see this card definitely going to 1 in the future, because you're going to see it used in a lot of blue decks, I think, in my opinion. You already used that card in the Imperial Dramon deck, and it has many more targets. But yeah, Awakening definitely hurts, and especially also hurts the Vaccine armor decks. You know, it was a way of cheating out the Magnamon, just going Rapidmon and then from Patamon, and then you just play this card and go right into Magnamon X for free, and it can't even get beat DP reduced. So it's a very interesting situation, because Yellow Vaccine already has this hit, and we're going to talk about another hit in a second. But yeah, Awakening definitely a strong hit on the site, but I already showed you this is a possible substitute. Or you can just drop it completely and run something else, and just run the one body. You have a Numemon X antibody also here. Alright, so this is the next card. Dex affected, Numemon. Decks affected, all the other decks get a little bit better. But yeah, the Numemon had to be hit. I think that hitting Monzamon X would have just completely destroyed the deck, more than it's already been destroyed via this. But also, this does not kill the deck. It is still very much playable. You'll still see it in topping list. It's just a little bit closer to 1.5 than it is top tier deck. If you hit the Monzamon X, the problem is that that completely kills the deck. I think it just removes all the removal power from that deck, in my opinion. And the swarm factor makes it a lot slower. Additionally, there is the Liberator archetype that comes out in a few weeks. That is, I think, a puppet archetype. So that card, the Monzamon X, I think is also puppet, which means that you'll be able to use it in that deck, most likely. They do play a lot of threes, which I think also are able to get rush, so that might be a very appropriate replacement for the Numemon deck, but we'll see. They just go about like how you could play this card with pulling out the Platinum Numemon and then digivolving into Ruin mode, essentially. But yeah, I think there's enough talk here. This is the one I actually want to spend some time on. We have time. But TK definitely... This was definitely an unexpected hit, and it definitely does a lot of damage to Yellow Vaccine. I think that the players who are dedicated Yellow Vaccine players are going to have to figure out what kind of deck they're going to make to get around this hit and see if they can put other cards into their decks that can fix what TK was or what TK was doing. And one of the options is playing the old BT 1 or 2, I don't remember, first set TK, that's a memory setter. More copies of that to be able to search your security stack. If you're playing Magnamon, proc out your Magnamon, see what's in there. You can play also, in my opinion, I'm playing 2 versions of the deck right now, just testing them out. One being a one focused on Cody and TK, being able to play out the promo Patamon that lets you look into security. So before you're pushing out the Patamon from BT14, you set up your Cody TK pays out Patamon. Patamon says, hey, there is a level 4 in here. You should do it now. You should check it out. And if you have that plus the Patamon, you will be much more secure in your plays. But yeah, you won't gain that memory every single time again. There is also a a Kari variant as well, where you can play Kari and you can search your security stack with Revelation Light and play out level 3 or level 4 and then recover, and that can proc out Magnamon X. There's also just changing it to 3 Great Angels, which it's much more consistent, I think, with after this hit, but I'm excited to see what people are going to come up with the armor variant, or if they're just going to completely drop the armor variant and say, hey, I don't think there's a good way of playing this deck anymore, let's switch to something else. So some replacements you can run, in my opinion, are the cards I talked about as well, but also increasing your level 5 count. So a lot of people are playing 4 copies of like Magnamon Ace, or sorry, Magna Angemon Ace, or Anju-Woman Ace, or a combination of 2, but I think you're going to have to go to 6 or 7 level 5s to make it more consistent. You can also run more emissaries and more of, like I said, the TKs from set 1 for this card. So we'll see where that leads with that. You have the Gabumon that came off the list here. A lot of people were talking about it. I think this is a really smart hit. I think it was just like, we had to see, make sure Apocalypmon was not destroying the meta, but having this card back in the meta is really good because you could play the purple version, I think, of the Garurumon deck. There is a cool version that I was playing right before the hit that was like a you play 4 copies of this Gabumon and then you attack and then you fill up your trash and then you can go into your X antibody top end. It would just be any like X antibody top end Demon Lords, Magna X, Gabumon stuff, whatever you wanted to do and run it. But I mean, I'm wondering to see what decks are going to utilize this card going forward now that it's at 4. Let's look at some more cards. So this is the ban. We're not going to worry about this now. I'm curious on maybe they, once we get the Shoto and Mother stuff, if they're going to put out like a thing in a week or so or 2 weeks that will say like you can't have that combination of cards. But let's go down here. So Ukkomon, I think, still has to be put at 1. Just giving any blue deck jamming is just super powerful when there's nothing on board. So yeah, Ukkomon definitely has to be stay banned. Same thing with Pokemon. I would still keep that banned. Galmon X, I would actually still. I think that could still be banned. Or not. Sorry, I keep saying banned. I mean restricted. Galmon X antibody restricted. Anubismon, I never even got the chance to really play this deck. So, if you feel like this should come off the list, let me know in the comment section below. We have other stuff here. This just came out off. They should probably remove this now or something. I don't know. This Galmon on deletion draw 2. I guess that when you're thinking about like just bodies into security, you have to go into a level 4 for this to work, so it only works if you go into level 4 cards. I don't know if there's a deck that could utilize this right now, but I feel like it could come off. I don't think this was such a powerful card that it had to be limited to 1. Geogreymon, I feel like you could give this back, honestly, to Shine Greymon players, because right now Shine Greymon's not doing anything. It got a few good cards, but really, like, it's right now, I think, not doing just much. And I don't know if there's another deck that would utilize this the way that Shine Greymon does. But, yeah, I think putting this to 1, you could definitely come off with that. Yeah, no, Mach Gagumon still has to be here. I'm surprised that more Mirage stuff wasn't gone. Scatter mode, I think this one... Yeah, no, this one stays at 1. This one already came off. Yeah, this one came off, I think. Blossomon, Impmon. With the new Impmon support, the new line, I would definitely still keep this at 1. Garurumon, I'm not sure. I mean, I know that there's combos out there that still can do this, but yeah, maybe still at 1. Still at 1. This, I think Greymon X can still come off. I do not see any Greymon decks right now at locals, topping lists, nothing. So I definitely feel like this card could come off the list. And I don't think we're getting anything Greymon related. I don't think we are. The only thing I could think maybe that they could do is, and maybe this is the reason why, is maybe with the ancient support, the stuff that says at the end of turn delete this Digimon or anything like that, maybe to prevent that deletion. That might be why this is still at 1. Calling at 1, Sunrise at 1, Dorogray, I feel like this could come off the list. There's so many options on what you can do, and I don't know, I think the problem with this card was not the Sec +1, it was the protections it gave. So now we have so many other cards that do the same thing with the Alphamon deck that I feel like this card could come back and it wouldn't do too much. Shoutmon, I still would say at 1. Jet Sylphie, I'm just a yellow enthusiast. I think it could come at 4. Only deck you're going to see it played in is Yellow Hybrid or Ancient Garurumon. So, especially the fact that you can recover 1 makes this card much more appropriate. Tommy was the hit. Mega never come back. Mega Fusion never come back. Reinforcing memory boost can come back to 4. 6 is a lot of memory. So I just feel like this card can come back to 4, and you can set up the top of your deck. And I feel like that might even be a good replacement for TK. In the fact that TK, you gain a memory. It's 3 to play. Gain a memory when you heal. This is just a 6 and heal and gain 1 card. But 6 is still a lot of memory. Just saying. Ice Wall at 1, still there. Argamon, Hidden Potential. I would say I utilize this in my Imperial build and other decks too. It could definitely go to a ban, but because there are other cards that do the same thing, and I just feel like you should just put this at 0 and call it a day. And yeah, Izamon stays on the list. So that's my hot take on the ban restricted list. what do you guys think? I mean, honestly, I feel like it was a pretty good list. I'm pretty excited to see what this format includes. And my favorite deck is top tier. So uh, we'll see what happens in the future. So, all right, that's all for now. Let me know in the comment section what you think, and talk to you soon.